Senator Daines, I was shocked to learn when I came here that Congress overrules the laws of nature and that falling water is not a renewable resource. So, I don't know, we speak a different language in Idaho, I guess. Madam Secretary, thank you so much. I want to talk about sage grouse, of course. You remember the first meeting we had, you didn't know what a sage grouse, you weren't familiar with the sage grouse, and now you're a lot more familiar, I'm sure, than you want to be. You will recall the criticism I had at that time, and that was that we had two agencies under the Department of Interior, the Fish and Wildlife Service and the BLM, and we were perplexed in Idaho that you could have two federal agencies at odds with each other within the same department, under the same head, and we just weren't making progress, as you recall. Your leadership has changed that dramatically, and I'm happy at that. You remember the analogy I used that when you headed REI, you would not have allowed your marketing department and your accounting department to be at each other's throats without the head knocking some heads together and saying, "Look, guys, resolve this." Well, unfortunately, we're drifting again back in that direction. And before I get into that, let me say thank you for coming to Idaho and last October. Since the federal government owns 2/3 of the state, it's only appropriate that you visit us once in a while, and we appreciate that. We do things differently. I want to commend your predecessor, Secretary at that time, Salazar, for inviting states to collaborate on the sage grouse issue. Collaboration's a wonderful thing. It works. But it only works if people work at it. Idaho accepted that invitation, and the governor wisely put together a great collaborative group who sat at a table, worked on a plan, and your Fish and Wildlife Service had a seat at that table as we developed that plan. When you came into office, that was right at the point where, even though our plan had been developed, even though the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service had signed off on it, the BLM said, not so fast. And I can't explain to you how incredibly frustrating that is for us that are trying to save the sage grouse. I mean, that's our objective. It's a magnificent bird. It deserves the attention of government agencies, and it needs to be protected. Well, here we go again. On October 27th, 2014, Dan Ash, Director of the United States Department of the Interior Fish and Wildlife Service, wrote a letter to the BLM. Now, I don't understand why they communicate in such formal fashion. It would seem to me a phone call would be good. But in any event, this is how the letter starts. Pursuant to our October 1st, 2014 leadership discussion regarding the federal land management planning process for greater sage grouse, etc. We're ready to go in Idaho. We've got a plan. We want to work with the federal government on this plan. And I understand that the federal government and the state work at different paces. But this letter raises a new issue for us. And it says, this memorandum and associated maps respond to a request from the Bureau of Land Management, BLM, to identify a subset of priority habitat most vital to the species persistence within which we recommend strongest levels of protection. Where'd this come from? You know, we've been at this for years, and all of a sudden here we go, and they now identify a focal area. We need to get this done. Focal areas, if there was such a thing, should have been identified years ago, and they should have been incorporated in a plan so we can move forward. We want to move forward. But this, again, moves the goalpost. We were down on the 1 yard line with the ball and first down, and all of a sudden we look up and the goalpost is way down the line. We got to stop this stuff. We need to move forward with a finalization for a plan, and I know you and I have said, the head of the BLM has said, the head of the Fish and Wildlife Service said, oh yes, but then we're going to get sued. Of course we're going to get sued, but we want everybody on one side of the table who are pragmatic, who have the goal of saving the sage grouse, who have put together a plan that will do that on one side of the table, and the nutcases on the other side of the table who just want to fight. This is not helping. Please use your leadership bring this thing together and get our plan finalized where we can move forward with actual work on the ground to save the sage grouse. And I apologize for the passion with this, but I'm telling you, we're incredibly frustrated when the goalposts keep moving on us. We need to get this done, and we need to move forward. So my time is up, but I'd like to get a brief response from you about what your plans are to try to help us move forward. And I understand the states are all in a different position, and this addressed all states. I wish it would have been state by state, and I wish instead at this meeting of October 1st, I wish they'd invited the Idaho people there to get their hands in on this, and maybe we wouldn't have wound up where we are. Madam Secretary.
Madam Chairman, thank you. That was October, and now we're in February, and I will say that incredible cooperation is going on between the various agencies. One of the things that's very difficult in this job, and Mike experienced it when he ran the Bureau of Reclamation, is you've got distinct acts under which you operate. The Fish and Wildlife Service, about long-term protection of fish and wildlife species and their health within the country. The Bureau of Land Management, multiple use and sustained yield of the landscapes, and sometimes those do conflict. We've moved a long way since the letter you referenced. The BLM has finalized its plans. They've been working closely with the states. They've been working closely with the Fish and Wildlife Service. Those plans are being finalized right now. I think there were 98 of them, lots and lots of environmental impact statements and work that's been done. The secretarial order on rangeland fire, which your governor was very kind at saying some nice words about, is a very key element for Idaho, for parts of Oregon, and certainly Nevada as well. And those are things the Fish and Wildlife Service will be able to write on. So I have encouraged people to stay at the table, to not engage at letter writing to the extent that they can pick up the phone and call each other. And I think that you will find that we are on the cusp of something that's pretty incredible here, because this coalition has come together and the states have come together, and we're very close to the goal line, and the goal line's not moving. The goal line is the scientific information agreed upon between the states and the Fish and Wildlife Service, something called the COT report. And we are going to soon have to turn it over to the Fish and Wildlife Service to make their determination. But I feel good about where we are, where the states are. It's been a rocky road to get there, but people are at the table working hard, and so I appreciate your passion. I know it has not been an easy journey.
And first of all, I appreciate your leadership on this. I really appreciate the fact that you understand that you got two agencies that we really need to bring together. And I can tell you the message that you just gave me, I will take back home to the states. If indeed that's the case, they don't understand it yet. Hopefully, we'll get to some progress where they will understand it. And I appreciate your leadership on it. Please appreciate our problems with this also as we try to move this forward. And all of a sudden, we get new terms and new focal areas that nobody's ever heard of before, and it's put on the table as we think we're at the goal line. So, thank you very much, and thank you, Madam Chairman.
Obviously, a great deal of passion about the sage grouse. Let's go to